Emma needs this win, Olivia. You have to understand, my mother said, holding up another oversized sweater that could easily fit two of me. I stood in the department store's fitting room, fighting back tears as she added it to the growing pile of shapeless clothes. I was 16, and this had become our new normal. Every shopping trip turned into an exercise in hiding my body, all because my twin sister Emma had started making comments about feeling insecure. "But Mom, I can barely move in these," I protested, pulling at the baggy fabric of the sweater I was currently drowning in. "And it's still summer." "That's the point, sweetie. We need to be subtle about your figure. Emma's self-esteem is very fragile right now." I looked at my reflection in the mirror, remembering how just last year, we'd bought clothes that actually fit. But then Emma had her incident, a breakdown after our cousin's pool party where someone had commented on how different we looked despite being twins. That's when everything changed. First, it was subtle suggestions to wear looser clothes. Then came the mandatory cardigans over every outfit. Now, here we were, buying clothes 3 sizes too big because my very existence apparently threatened my twins' confidence. The irony, we weren't even identical twins. Emma had taken after our dad's side. Petite, delicate features, and naturally slim. I'd inherited Mom's genetics, taller, athletic build, and curves that no amount of baggy clothing could completely hide. "Remember what Dr. Stevens said," Mom continued, referring to Emma's therapist. "We all need to support Emma's journey to self-acceptance." "What about my journey?" I wanted to scream. Instead, I nodded silently, watching as Mom added another tent-like dress to the pile. At school, the changes didn't go unnoticed. My friends questioned my new style, but I made excuses about comfort and fashion trends. The truth was too complicated to explain. "Olivia," Emma's voice rang across the cafeteria one afternoon. She bounced over to our table, radiating confidence in her fitted blazer and skinny jeans. "Mom says we're going shopping this weekend for the winter formal. We can match." I forced a smile, already knowing what that meant. Emma would get a beautiful form-fitting dress, while I'd end up in something that looked like it was designed to hide a pregnancy. That evening, I was scrolling through Instagram when I saw it. A post from Lily Martinez, a girl who graduated from our school last year. She was standing on a runway in Milan, looking fierce and confident. The caption read, "Dreams don't work unless you do." Started from small-town shows, now walking Milan Fashion Week. Something clicked inside me. I stayed up all night researching modeling agencies, requirements, and success stories. By morning, I had a plan. The next day, I used my lunch money to buy a bus ticket to the city. I wore my regular clothes to school but packed a change of fitted outfits in my bag. Clothes I'd hidden away from last year, before the Baggy era began. In the city, I changed in a coffee shop bathroom, took some basic photos with my phone's self-timer, and walked into 3 modeling agencies. 2 turned me down immediately, but the third, Elite Model Management, asked me to come back for proper photos. "You have a unique look," the agent Sarah said. "Natural, strong features." "How old are you?" 16, I admitted. "Parents' permission?" I hesitated. "I'm working on it." Sarah smiled knowingly. "Get their permission, come back with these forms signed, and we'll talk. You have potential, but we do everything by the book." On the bus ride home, I clutched those forms like a lifeline. For the first time in months, I felt like myself, not Emma's overshadowed twin, not the girl in baggy clothes, but Olivia. Mom was waiting when I got home, her face tight with worry. "Where have you been? Emma needed you at her student council meeting for support." I looked at my mother, really looked at her. She stood there in her perfectly tailored dress, while insisting I hide in shapeless sacks. The irony wasn't lost on me. "I was building my own future," I said, walking past her up the stairs. I heard her follow me. "What does that mean?" "Olivia, your sister needs." I spun around. "What about what I need, Mom? When was the last time anyone in this family asked about that?" She stepped back, startled by my outburst. For a moment, I saw something flicker across her face. Recognition, maybe even guilt. But then Emma's voice floated up from downstairs, and Mom's expression hardened again. "We'll talk about this later," she said, already turning to respond to Emma's call. In my room, I pinned the modeling agency forms to my bulletin board, right next to Lily Martinez's Instagram post. Let them keep trying to hide me, I thought. Soon, everyone would see me. And this was just the beginning. 2 years passed like a whirlwind. While my family continued their campaign to keep me in the background, I was quietly building my future. Every dentist appointment was actually a modeling class. Every study group was a photo shoot. Sarah, my agent, became my biggest supporter, teaching me how to walk, pose, and most importantly, believe in myself. The real turning point came during my senior year. I'd managed to book several local shows, carefully scheduling them around Emma's events to avoid confrontation. But then came the opportunity I wouldn't pass up. New York Fashion Week, Sarah announced during one of our meetings. They're looking for fresh faces, and you're ready. My heart soared, then immediately plummeted as I thought about my family. It's during spring break. Emma has her dance recital. Sarah leveled her gaze at me. Olivia, you've been hiding your light for 2 years. How much longer are you going to let them dim your shine? She was right. That evening, I walked into our family dinner with my head held high. Emma was chattering about her recital, Mom and Dad nodding along enthusiastically. I have an announcement, I said, my voice stronger than I felt. I've been selected to walk in New York Fashion Week. The silence that followed was deafening. Emma's fork clattered against her plate. Mom's face went pale. Dad just stared. What do you mean selected? Mom finally asked, her voice tight. Selected for what? I'm a model, Mom. I've been for 2 years. And I'm good at it. Emma's voice came out small. But my recital. I know, I said, keeping my voice gentle. But this is my chance. My future. Absolutely not, Mom snapped. This is ridiculous. You can't just abandon your sister's big moment for some fashion show. Dad cleared his throat. Princess, your mother's right. Emma needs family support. There will be other opportunities. Will there? I stood up, pulling out my phone. Look at these. I showed them my portfolio, professional shots from local shows, print ads for boutiques, even a small feature in a regional magazine. I've been doing this for 2 years, building my career while wearing your baggy clothes and playing the supportive sister. I've never asked for anything. Now I'm asking. But people will see you, Emma whispered, and I heard the real fear in her voice. Everyone will look at you. Yes, I said softly. They will. And that's okay. Your spotlight doesn't have to dim for mine to shine. Mom stood up abruptly. This discussion is over. You're not going to New York. End of story. I looked at her, then at Dad, who avoided my eyes, and finally at Emma, who seemed smaller than ever in her chair. Actually, I said, pulling out my passport, I'm 18 now. Sarah helped me save every penny I've earned from modeling. My flight's booked. I'm not asking for permission, I'm telling you what's happening. The next week was tense. Mom alternated between cold silence and emotional manipulation. Dad tried reasoning with me about family loyalty. Emma cried about how I was abandoning her. But for the first time in my life, I stood firm. The morning I left for New York, I put on one of the baggy sweaters they'd bought me. But underneath, I wore my own clothes. Fitted, stylish, me. At the airport, only Dad showed up to say goodbye. Your mother's with Emma, he explained awkwardly. She's very upset. I know, I said, adjusting my carry-on. But Dad, I need to do this. He looked at me properly then, maybe for the first time in years. When did you grow up so much? I hugged him, breathing in his familiar aftershave, while everyone was watching Emma. New York was everything I dreamed and more. The energy, the excitement, the pure adrenaline of walking the runway. It felt like finally taking a full breath after years of shallow breathing. My first show was for an up-and-coming designer. As I walked down the runway, lights flashing and music pulsing, I felt powerful, beautiful, free, no baggy sweaters, no hiding, just me in all my glory. After the show, Sarah rushed up to me, beaming. You killed it, and guess who was watching? She pointed to the front row, where a woman in sleek glasses was making notes on her iPad. That's Miranda Wells from Vogue. She's doing a piece on new faces in fashion, and she wants to interview you. My hands shook as I read Miranda's card. This was really happening. My phone buzzed. A message from Dad. Attached was a photo of him watching my show's live stream on his laptop, taken secretly in his home office. Proud of you, Princess, the message read. Don't tell your mother I watched. I smiled, tucking the phone away. They'd have to face reality soon enough. Because this wasn't just a rebellion or a phase, this was my future, and it was just beginning. Looking in the mirror of my hotel room that night, I finally saw myself clearly, not Emma's twin, not the girl in baggy clothes, but a strong, confident woman ready to take on the world. The next day, I had 2 more shows and the Vogue interview. My story was about to be heard, and I had a feeling my family would be paying very close attention. The Vogue article changed everything. Twin Shadows. How model Olivia Turner stepped into her own light. The headline alone sent shockwaves through my family. Miranda had crafted a powerful narrative about identity, family dynamics, and self-discovery, complete with a stunning photo shoot that showed me emerging from oversized clothing into couture. The morning it was published, my phone exploded with notifications. Friends, former classmates, and distant relatives all sharing the article. But the messages I was waiting for didn't come. Not from Mom, not from Emma. Dad called though. It's causing quite a stir here, he said, his voice a mix of pride and concern. Your mother hasn't left her room since she saw it. Emma, well, she's not taking it well. I sat in my New York apartment, paid for by my rapidly growing modeling income, and felt a strange sense of peace. They'll have to face it eventually, Dad. I'm not hiding anymore. I know, Princess, and I'm sorry. I should have stood up for you sooner. His words meant more than he knew, but the real storm was yet to come. 3 days after the article, Emma called. How could you? She sobbed. You made us look horrible. Everyone at college is talking about it. They're calling Mom and Dad abusive. I told the truth, Em, I said quietly. About the clothes, about being hidden, about everything. You didn't have to tell it to Vogue. Maybe if I could have told it to my family and been heard, I wouldn't have had to. The silence that followed was heavy with understanding. I never meant. Emma started, then stopped. I didn't know it hurt you so much. Yes, you did, I said gently. You just didn't want to see it. Another week passed and my career soared. The article had caught the industry's attention and suddenly I was booking major campaigns. My agent called with exciting news. A luxury fashion house wanted me as their face for their new campaign. The theme, Embrace Your Light. The irony wasn't lost on me. Then came the call I'd been both expecting and dreading. Mom. We need to talk, she said, her voice strained. In person, your father and I are flying to New York tomorrow. The next day, I met them at their hotel. Mom looked smaller somehow, less intimidating than I remembered. Dad stood awkwardly between us, like a referee unsure of his role. You look, Mom gestured vaguely at my fitted designer outfit, different. I look like myself, I corrected. She sat down heavily. The article, people are talking, our friends, the family. Good, I said, let them talk. Let them know what it feels like to have your daughter's beauty treated like a problem to be solved. We were trying to protect Emma. By destroying me. The words hung in the air between us. Dad stepped forward. We made mistakes, Olivia. Big ones. But we're here now, trying to understand. Mom wiped away a tear. I saw your billboard in Times Square. You looked beautiful. And I realized I've never told you that. Not once, because I was so afraid it would hurt Emma. And now I'm afraid I've lost you instead. The honesty in her voice made my throat tight. You haven't lost me, Mom, but you need to accept that I won't hide anymore. Not for you, not for Emma, not for anyone. She nodded slowly. Emma's in therapy again. Real therapy this time, not just trying to make everyone else adjust to her insecurities. She showed me your Instagram yesterday, said you looked happy, strong. I am. Will you come home for Christmas? As yourself, no baggy sweaters required. I looked at my parents, really looked at them. Mom, trying to bridge the gap she'd helped create. Dad, finally finding his voice in support of me. They weren't perfect, but they were trying. Yes, I said. But first, I have something to show you. I took them to my latest photo shoot. The theme was family, sisters, mothers, daughters. The photographer had captured something raw and beautiful about female relationships and self-acceptance. As they watched me work, I saw the realization dawn on their faces. This wasn't just a job or a rebellion. This was my art, my passion, my calling. After the shoot, Mom hugged me, really hugged me, for the first time in years. I'm so sorry, she whispered. You shine so bright, and I tried to dim that light. Can you forgive me? I already have, I replied. But no more hiding. No more hiding, she agreed. That Christmas I went home. Emma met me at the door, not with tears or accusations, but with a magazine in her hand, my latest cover. Teach me, she asked. Not about modeling, but about being brave enough to be myself. I hugged my twin, feeling the years of competition and resentment melting away. Always, I promised. As we sat around the Christmas tree, me in a fitted dress, Emma in her own style, Mom beaming at both of us, I realized something profound. Sometimes the greatest act of love isn't dimming your light for others. It's shining so bright that you show them how to find their own light too. And that's exactly what I plan to keep doing, one runway at a time.